Mama's recipes passed from the top plate. Told me don't flip it when the truth ain't straight. Messiah walked it, he left a foot trace. 6 grind, 7th rest, that's a holy embrace. 7th day rhythm, frame it in your heart. World flip the script, Taurus day apart. Sunday creeping, but that ain't the spark. Messiah showed the way, his steps left a mark. Woo! Hop the scriptures, flipping pages like a flip phone. Prophet's voice echoes, makes it that stone. Sun up, sun down, keep it in the zone. The ancient path paved, not man-made on its own. Tradition breaking walls, shaking system built on sand. Sabbath holding steady, that's the Father's brand. Don't bend, fold, this a pure command. Every command's legit, this the holy strand. Rome switched the day, now watch the spin zone. Took his ways, branded anyone unknown. Original still, no remix thrown. Reflect in the light, Sabbath stone. 7 day rhythm, frame it in your heart. World flip the script, Taurus day apart. Sunday creeping, but that ain't the spark. Messiah showed the way, his steps left a mark.
Shabbat Shalom, Israel. Man, I hope everybody is having a blessed week and is able to enter into that rest. You know, today's title of the message is Torah and Finances. We're really going to be, driving home talking about debt and what we don't understand about it. This message is not by popular demand. This may be the first time that in a setting of righteousness you're actually, taught about this, because, man, many young adults enter into this world according to the programming of, I need to establish my credit. And you have people out there that are more focused on establishing credit than living righteous. And I'll tell you, we're in a daytime and hour that people are out here financially struggling with all kind of spiritual issues when their credit worthiness of the kingdom is not looking too good. So today I want to talk about some different options we have, what you can do, how did we get in this boat, and this is not going to be potentially a comfortable message to hear, because this is the area, since it doesn't get talked about enough, that oftentimes we need to do the most work in. Okay, so let's keep rolling. Welcome to all in Shabbat Shalom, Israel. I truly hope everybody is in good spirits and in the love of the Most High, and truly has a spirit to learn today, has a teachable spirit, so you can experience the freedom that the Most High Yah wanted you to. How to support the ministry. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, and set to all notifications. Share this video. If you would like to give an offering, Cash App is on the screen. Man, I've been in places of worship where they would tell the people it's now time to pay tithes and offerings. And they didn't tell the people about the truth about tithing not being in the form of money or currency. But, man, they'd have the website on there. You go to the website and they would ask you debit or credit. There's places out there that will allow you to finance, to run up debt, to use your credit in order to pay them money. And they call themselves places of worship. They call themselves churches. But oftentimes a lot of these Sunday sun worship places are not, they're not the true ecclesia. They're not the called out assembly, the congregation. They're just businesses. You know, when you look at the 501c3 that they are establishing, it is a business entity according to legalese. It's not a business, or it's not a assembly that is ran according to the will of the Most High. When you think about it, man, you be surprised at how many of these Sunday sun worship churches operate off debt, just like our government. You'd be surprised how many of them do it. And this is the part they're really not going to teach you. They're not going to teach you about Torah and finances. You know, when it comes to the snares of prosperity ministry, you know, a lot of people find themselves gravitating towards towards prosperity ministry is because they've got themselves into debt, and the only type of blessing that they're really looking for from the Most High Yah is monetarily. Agenda. In today's Shabbat message, I will be teaching on how debt can significantly impact a person's relationship with Yahweh. You will learn how our debts create burden and hinder our freedom. Man, when you think about the burden, like when you are taking out loans and things like that, when you're at the Apple store and you're financing these phones, man, these phones $1,200. You want the one with all the features on it. And they say, yeah, man, no payments for, 90 days. All they're doing is just delaying the payment so they can accrue more interest off of you. And man, you get that first payment, that online notification, you get that bill in the mail, and you looking at your pay stub and you looking at these bills, you're like, ooh. But for 90 days, man, you felt like you was on top of the world. It's the same thing when you take out loans. In that moment, you be praise God, praise him. People be sitting up here talking about you looking at the terms of these loans, man. 27%. As a leader, I've seen some of these things. 27%, and you talking about this is the blessing. People don't realize the burden and how this hinders our freedom, the weight that we're putting on our shoulders, stressed out because of this. Debt creates obligations and can lead to anxiety and worry, potentially distracting from us focusing on Yahweh and spiritual freedom. Man, if you get so down and out financially, you got a lot of people that will turn to drugs. It would just numb their mind from the reality of how much they owe. People out here doing all kind of stuff in order to live the lifestyle that they want to live today. Scamming is off the charts. Well, I just got in a real bad financial situation, and there was somebody that said, man, we can make some money. Next thing you know, you getting caught up with identity fraud, identity theft. Next thing you know, in order to fund this lifestyle as a woman, you selling your body on OnlyFans, selling subscriptions, talking about you a godly woman. We will discuss how a love of money can lead to indebtedness and potential for undisciplined spending and worldly desires. Also, how debt can create stress and tensions in friendships and marriage. Lastly, how debt can create a delay or limits pursuing our calling. Man, I want you to think, man, if you was in those biblical times and you had an opportunity to follow Hamashiach, but you were so set on, man, I can't even really budge right now, man. Give me 2 years to get out of this financial situation. Right now, I owe Tony down the street. I owe Mr. Bank down the street. I can't follow you at this moment. Mashiach ain't hearing that. Also, how debt can create stress and tensions in friendships and marriage. Lastly, how debt can create a delay or limits pursuing our calling. Most people think the solution to their financial problems is adding more money to the equation, when that's the furthest thing from the truth. Our problem is we live outside of our direct means. Man, when you have found yourself in debt, in an abundance of debt, what happens is you are living outside of your direct means, and you are banking on potential means. And right now, potential means, meaning you're earning potential in the future, is failing a lot of people. A lot of people are getting laid off, and you've got $1,000 bill per month in the driveway. You're getting laid off and you've bought more house than you can afford. You know, you look at pre 1850s, how homes looked in America. You didn't see these big old elaborate homes. You ever seen some of these Western movies, some of these old movies? Man, there might have been two bedrooms in a house, meaning you had a main living room that was your living room, your dining room, your kitchen, and then a bedroom off the back and had a loft up top. But people were able to avoid debt and they had freedom, you know? So we're going to break this thing down because, man, we have to get back to being content with the Most High Yah, you know, provides us as far as necessities and get out of this habit of spending money we don't have. This is something that majority of people in America can work on. You know, the reality is, man, if you got, you know, a 30-year mortgage, you owe $300,000. Man, you got new vehicles in the driveway, you owe $100,000. That's $400,000. And the reality of, you know, in 2019, they did a study showing Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings. And when you look at how many Americans, the percentage that actually have debt, man, we have a problem. If you got people walking around calling themselves, you know, Christians or followers of JC, but you can't ignore this. You can't ignore this. You know, if you've got $5,000 in the bank, but you owe $500,000, you really don't have the kind of money you think you got. You subtract, you know, what you owe from what you got, you in the hole. You in the negative. And we have been taught that this is the only way to go about it. We have been taught that this is the only way to go about it. You know, man, the only ministry that I have seen that has promoted not running according to debt is Straightway. Got to give it to them. A lot of these churches, man, when they're doing building funds and all of this, behind the scenes, man, they are taking out credit. They're taking out loans, and that burden falls on the members. And this is why they push so hard to tickle your ears for money. This is why they can't tell you the truth. You know, this is how a lot of so-called men start off on the path, but what they want to do is, man, I want a mega church, and they go finance it. You started off on the beginning teaching truth. I'm talking about the raw truth. You wasn't tickling no ears. But for the sake of worldly success, I got to have a mega church. I got to have, you know, all these seats and all of this. You finance it, and then you can't tell the people the same truth because they're not gonna kick that money out like that. So a burden becomes on the people, you know. But man, we truly, when it comes to keeping the Sabbath, you got people out there that just flat out, man, I can't keep it, man. I got to go to work. And when you look at this lifestyle, it's like, man, how many people would be content with having a bus pass? I started off in my youth with a bus pass. You know, living in the city. Nothing wrong with it. Didn't have to pay no insurance. Bro, didn't have a car note, didn't have no car maintenance. But we was programmed to think that, man, if you ride that bus, man, you poor, you down and out. When honestly, you more free than the people that don't have one. So we had to really change our way of thinking. Why are we here today? Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Exodus 31:13. Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbath you shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am Yahweh Elohim, that doeth sanctify you. Jubilees chapter 2, verse 29 through 30. Declare and say to the children of Israel the law of this day, both that they should keep the Sabbath thereon, and they should not forsake it in the error of their hearts, and that it is not lawful to do any work thereon which is unseemly, to do thereon their own pleasure, and they should not prepare thereon anything to be eaten or drunk, and that is not lawful to draw water or bring in or take out thereon through their gates any burden which they had not prepared for themselves on the 6th day in their dwellings. And they shall not bring in nor take out from the house on that day, for that day is more holy and blessed than any jubilee, day of jubilees. On this day, on this we kept Sabbath in heavens before it was made known to any flesh to keep Sabbath there on earth. And the Creator of all things blessed it, but he did not sanctify all people in all nations to keep the Sabbath thereon, but Israel alone. Them alone he permitted to eat and drink and to keep Sabbath there on earth. And the Creator of all things blessed this day which he had created for blessings and holiness and glory above all days. This law and testimony was given to the children of Israel as a law forever unto their generation. It's a perpetual covenant. You know, man, you've got people right now that are keeping the Shabbat, but their mind is not on Yah. Their mind is, man, if only I could be at work. You know, I got this bill due. I got this due. I got that due. And we're going to talk about that. You can't even really enjoy this set apart day of rest because your mind is so geared on wanting to work to fund the lifestyle that you want. Luke chapter 4, verse 14 through 16. And Yahshua returned into the power of the Spirit into Galilee, and there went out a fame of him through all the region round about. And he taught in their synagogues, being glorified of all. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up for to read. The instructions, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4 through 5. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is one, and thou shalt love Yahweh with all thine heart and with all thine soul and with all thine might. Man, when you owe everybody money, man, it diminishes your love of Yah. Because you cannot serve Yah to the capacity that he wants you to serve him. Because you got obligations. You know, not keeping your word is a sin according to Torah. And right now, man, there's in this country, man, we have people looking for all kind of debt forgiveness and all of this stuff because they got in over their head. So this is something that our youth needs to understand. That's why a lot of people can't walk in their purpose, walk in their calling. Because of indebtedness and not managing finances accordingly. See, what they tell us, what the world tells us about financial literacy is not according to righteousness. It's according to making them money. So they give us narratives that make us think like, oh man, you know, if I'm out here building my credit, man, I'm doing good. But the reality is, man, you have people that are able to walk upright and walk righteously while never partaking in the credit system. You just don't hear of that. Because if more people knew of this, man, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of depression would go away. Luke chapter 10, verse 27. And he answering said, Thou shalt love Yahweh with all thine heart and with all thine soul and with all thy strength and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. Definitions: money, noun, a current medium of exchange in the form of coins or banknotes. When you talk about medium, it's saying that because these are not precious metals. It's a type of paper printed on something. It's a metal that's not considered valuable. It's a metal that is in abundance rather than rare. When you think about gold and silver, there's these rare precious metals. Currency, noun, a system of money in general use in a particular country. Man, I want you to understand this about debt. when it comes to debt in Western culture, you might be thinking, man, I owe a lot of money. But the reality is, man, you owe currency. You own currency. When you're taking out loans when you're taking out loans or getting things financed, man, there has to be collateral. And you may say, man, if I'm taking out, currency, or I'm taking out these coins that ain't really precious in banknotes, what are they backed by? And that's a question I challenge you, especially if you were born in the Western system and have a birth certificate. I challenge you to go back and look at how are they able to extend what we have been taught is money, but it's really a digital number kept by way of a log in a system. How are they able to extend us this and we don't have any collateral? I want you to understand, like, when it comes to this is why they call real estate, they call it real because it's actually something you can reach. But your credit score is nothing you can't reach. It's just a digital number. So you got to look into that because that will unlock a whole lot of stuff. Bullion, noun, gold or silver in bulk before coining or valued by weight. At one point in time, man, that was how, that was the historical form of money, gold and silver. And you weighed it out to make sure that somebody wasn't trying to give you fool's gold or some type of aluminum foil tin. Since 1971, dollar notes have been the only form of printed money in the United States, with currency coins having no gold or silver backing. U.S. dollars are backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. Okay, when you look at the United States government, most people don't realize that the United States government, in all caps when you see it, is a corporation. It's a business entity. That's what it is. And legalese will tell you that. And this is something, when it comes to legalese, man, we are not very good at reading the fine print and understanding the terms. Man, a lot of your loan terms let you know that, man, upon your signature, man, that signature and that agreement is gonna be sold off, on the world market, and they're gonna profit off of that agreement. You got to think, man, for a signature, somebody can let you borrow 70,000-80,000 worth of currency based on a credit number when that's not collateral. I'm not going to stick to there because that's a whole nother in-depth teaching in itself. But once I found that out, I was like, oh, snap. Western credit history. Before the 20th century, local shopkeepers and merchants would offer store credit to customers who could pay their tabs after harvest or during times of need. Man, nowadays, that is, most of these stores have that. Man, if you go to Walmart and you buying some socks, there's going to be somebody ask you, would you like a Walmart credit card? You buying a $10 pack of socks. Would you like a Walmart credit card? And they're not, back in the day, some of this interest that they had, it was actually like, man, you weren't in bondage. But nowadays, this stuff, you look at some of these, man, some of these cards, it's 27, 30%. It's crazy. Around 1830, financial institutions began offering mortgages, which were based on 15-year variable interest rate model. Late 19th century, the development of credit reporting agencies began. In 1899, the retail credit company RCC, now Equifax, was founded to collect and centralize consumer credit information for retailers and finance companies. A lot of people don't know that the IRS is not a government agency. Listen to what I'm saying. A lot of people do not know that the IRS is not a government agency. It is a corporation. It is a corporation. When the IRS sends you anything, it's going to be in all caps. When they tell you you owe money, your name is going to be all caps. That's the corporation, not the living person. But they don't tell us this stuff, nor are we taught when somebody comes and sends us something, especially the IRS, we're not taught the basics, fundamentals of legalese and how to tell these people to be like, I don't owe you no money. And them legally have to leave you alone. We're not taught that. So what do? We submit down. We submit to this. Early 1900s, department stores and oil companies started issuing their own credit cards. 1920s and 1950s, the modern consumer credit system took shape with the introduction of installment credit, long-term mortgages, and revolving credit. You know, we have been taught to think that, okay, man, you got a 30-year mortgage, you got a 4 or 5, 3%, 5% interest rate, 6%. There's people out there paying 8, 9%, and what they don't realize, at 8, 9% on $200,000, by the time that loan is fully paid over 30 years, you're gonna be paying in total of excess of about 500,000. At 4 to 5%, you're gonna be paying double the original cost of the house, 400,000. And here's the snares, man. As convincing as these people are that call you and say they're trying to help you, man, they'll sit up and say, "Hey, I'm a Christian too, man. I'm God. What church you go to?" And sit up and, "Yeah, come on, yeah. We just wanted to see, do you want to access some of the equity in your home?" I want you to understand some of these concepts we have to get out of our head, because equity is nothing but a fictitious digital number that they're trying to, sell you on for the sake of them making a whole lot more money off you in the end. The only equity is when you sell your house. But if you look at how things have gone up, man, if you stayed in a house for 5, 10 years, and by the time you sell it, you got 50,000 in equity, the cost of living has increased. So the price you paid for your house, you ain't gonna be able to get nothing of that value for the same price. So that 50,000 is gonna be ate up by the cost of living and inflation. So they sell us on this too. Hey man, we just like to see, would you like a payday loan? You get all these phone calls. People call themselves acting like they're truly wanting to help you. But these people are getting a commission, their own salary. That is their job, to call and make it seem like they want to help you. Hey, we just wanted to let you know, man, you was reapproved. You was approved according to your credit, man. You got amazing credit. We just want to give you a refinance offer, and just see, would you like $60,000 to be able to do some renovations on your house? And a lot of people sign this paperwork not really realizing you about to have 2 payments. They don't realize this. The amount of money that they make off people is ridiculous. 1950s, Bank AmeriCard, later known as Visa, launched its first credit card in 1958. I'm gonna be honest, man. You can fall into these traps of reward points, but if you're carrying over a balance month to month, man, they eating you alive. Them reward points ain't even worth it if you carrying a balance on it. I said, man, I had to get out of some of this stuff, because we fool ourselves and say, man, we got a rewards card. They giving you pennies on the dollar. But how much are they collecting you every month when you allow that balance to roll over? They're getting that interest. So them little pennies that they giving you is keeping you brainwashed and stuck. The only one that I've been using recently is my Sam's Club credit card, because they give you cash back for money spent on regular purchase. So when I buy gas, when I buy groceries, I swipe the Sam's card, for the fact of when I go to Sam's, I have $45, $60 in in-store credit that I can use. That don't mean I'm rolling over a balance from month to month. I'm paying that off. Like if I buy gas, I'm paying it off the next day. Once it posts to the account, I'm paying it off. That way you don't accrue interest. When you think about it, how many 0% interest credit cards long term are out there? What do? They entice you, oftentimes a lot of them, with, man, we give you 0% interest for the first 6 months, 0% interest for the first 12 months, 0% interest for the first 18 months. And what do? Max that joker out. You max it out, and then 18 months come, you've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. They know people don't have the discipline to pay it during that 0% interest phase. They know people are gonna rack and max that thing up. You got to be careful because a lot of these 0% interest cards will give you a larger balance so they can keep you in bondage longer. Western credit history. 1950s, the first credit scoring system was developed by Fair Isaac Company, later FICO, and was first used by a lender in 1958. Before this, lending decisions were largely based on subjective personal impressions and word of mouth. I'm going to be honest, man. You know, man, right now in this day, time, and hour, man, just knowing, like the book says, and we'll talk about it, man, you can lend to the other nations, but we don't really understand how to do that. Because I'm going to be honest with you, if you lend to somebody that's not a commandment keeper, that's not Israel, and you charge them interest, what is the guarantee that you're going to get your money back? You don't have any kind of systems established, so we'll talk about that. But they got a system established to wear you out in Western culture. From the 1920s through the 1950s, our modern consumer credit system took shape. These decades saw the invention of installment credit, long-term mortgages, and revolving credit, and the basis of our modern consumer credit landscape was formed. I want you to think, people don't realize how everything became slowly finance, and at one point we actually had an installment thing, which was layaway. Wasn't nothing wrong with layaway. You pay on it till you could actually get it. That was a pretty decent model. But when you think about it, it's not a good business model because they had to store this stuff on hand. In the event you come in and pay it off in full, they had to have it readily available. So it wasn't a good business model to do layaway. Good credit, but drowning, man. I watched a video of, it was Dave Ramsey, and man, he had a guy call in, and this man said, man, I make real good money, man. He said, I'm a Christian, man. Man, I make 500,000. Got my own business, I make 500,000. But I'm drowning in debt. Dave Ramsey said, how much debt you got? He said, man, I got about 1.8 million in debt. And he says, man, I really don't know where my money is going. Man, Dave Ramsey started to list out where all these payments, man, it was crazy. It was crazy. You're like, man, and people think that they have I need more income problem. And that's not the problem. Man, I'm going to break down. When you are young, you are told, man, you need to establish your credit, get a good job, all of this stuff, but nobody's actually teaching you how to live set apart. The most religious person you know in your family, I guarantee you ain't never heard them talk about none of this. I guarantee you. Nobody's teaching us how to live set apart. Okay? Having good credit means you have a solid history of managing your financial responsibilities. Listen to this, particularly concerning borrowed money. Man, to be frank, man, a lot of people make good money and could live a far better lifestyle than they realize, but because you have financed your lifestyle, you feel like you're in poverty. And payments. Lenders see you as lower risk and are more likely to approve you for loans and credit cards. It's a business. It's a business model. That's what it's about. It's a business model. How to make somebody else rich, wealthy off you. And the word tells us this. Man, I had a video out there I put out maybe about 2 weeks ago, and it was, would you marry a man or a woman with bad credit or zero credit? Most people don't think about that. Would you rather have somebody that is frugal and financially prudent or somebody that has a great credit score and can rack up a whole bunch of debt? One of them is going to be stressed out and the other one is going to be able to live set apart. Okay? A good credit score, typically considered to be a FICO between 670 and 739, signifies that you have a track record of making on-time payments and managing your debts responsibly. This makes you more attractive borrower to lenders, a more attractive borrower. You got to think, man, these folk, man, it is, this is why I say, man, we have to have biblical financial literacy so we're not putting our children in the same system that we fell in. You got to think, man, when we had President Biden, how many people wanted those student loan forgiveness? And we didn't have anybody to sit around and tell us about, man, boy, you about to be in bondage to 60, 70 years old. 60, 70 years old. Average person is dying with this debt. And, man, we're taught, man, hey, as long as you got good credit, you good to go. And they will allow somebody 18 years old, that don't have no income, no job, no nothing, not a pot to piss in, and they will, without collateral, give you this revolving debt, put you in bondage for the rest of your life, knowing good and well this 10-cent piece of parchment paper that they didn't gave you is not going to bring you the type of income that you think it is. Why? Because on there it say in all caps, basket weaving and water sewing. Now, what we don't realize is you can have bad credit because you have a credit that ain't been established. And that's not a bad thing if you are avoiding debt. We've been taught to see, man, if we see somebody with a new car, somebody with this, we don't give a dang how they acquired it. As long as they finance it, we're looking, man, they doing pretty good. But we look at somebody that's got a bucket, got a hoopty, and say, man, they doing pretty bad. Person with the bucket got the title free and clear. Ain't no lien holder on it. Lifestyle creep, man. This is how it happens. Lifestyle creep, also known as lifestyle inflation, is when spending increases with rising income, often without conscious effort, as former luxuries become perceived necessities. Man, you got to think, a lot of people that have a lifestyle of debt have to go back to the drawing board and actually find out what is necessities. And necessities, according to by definition, is food, water, clothing, and shelter. At one time, early 1800s, those were considered necessities. But now, due to financing and all of this lifestyle creep, and I got to live my best life, the modern people have no idea what necessities are. They're out of touch with it. And the more you become out of touch with what necessities are, the more likelihood you're going to be living in debt, and you're going to have a huge financial burden on your life. When you think name brand is necessity, man, you didn't lost your mind. When you think luxury is necessity, you didn't lost your mind. Especially when you're financing this stuff. Examples of lifestyle creep. Examples include more frequent dining out at more expensive places. So you like, man, I got to promote, man, I'm making good. I'm making more money now. We just go out to eat whenever we want. Upgrading vehicles or homes. You got some people, they move every 2 to 3 years. They get a new position. I got to get a bigger house, man. Get this bigger house. Lifestyle creep. Increased spending on clothing. I got to have the finest threads. Look at where our money is going. It's not, the problem is we don't need more income. It's just we're not good at managing what we have, and we sign up for agreements and contracts that we have no business signing up for. Vacations, hobbies, or entertainment. You got to understand, Western culture, man, is very entitled. People be like, oh, man, I need a vacation. And you got all this overhanging debt out there. Why not take that money that you would spend, you saved up in currency for a vacation, and put it towards your debt to get yourself out of it a lot quicker? But average person really don't want to hear that. Man, your children, your wife don't want to hear that. Me tell me we can't go to Disney World? Man, you gonna sound like the a-hole in the family speaking according to wisdom. Dangers of lifestyle creep. Lifestyle creep can lead to reduced savings as money that could be saved, invested, or is spent. It also can result in debt accumulation through credit cards or loans, hinder wealth building, cause financial stress due to living paycheck to paycheck, and make it difficult to manage financial setbacks. See, we have been taught, don't even fall for the business model of, don't even fall for running a business out of debt, because when you run a business out of debt, especially large corporations, people don't realize that they've sold off shares in order to grow that business to the level that it is. And having 100% ownership and control is freedom. But when you got shareholders that have more control and a voice than you, man, you don't have freedom. Okay, let me break this down. You look at the United States, $36 trillion in debt and counting. Look at who we owe money to, China. Okay, when you look up who is buying all of the property, all the single family homes in the United States, these corporations, and jacking your rent up, if you rent, where are these corporations located at? China. How did that happen? Well, according to the money the United States borrowed, that was part of the deal. That was part of the terms. We'll be able to own property and lands on soil that we don't live at, and we'll be able to control them. Man, I got a book in there. I'm going to share with it. I'll take some pictures of it and share with it. But it was pretty much disclosing, the point at which United States was not able to govern itself due to borrowing money from other countries. And this is why some of the policies come out there and you be like, how did they come up with that? It's not people making this according to them being in control. When you're borrowing money, you got strings on you. Let's keep going. Instruction, 1 John chapter 2, verse 15 through 16. Do not love the world of sin that opposes Yahweh and his precepts, nor the things that are in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust and sensual cravings of the flesh, and the lust and longing of the eyes, and the boastful pride of life, pretentious confidence in one's resources or stability of earthly things, these do not come from the Father, but are of the world. Man, I'm so thankful for the Shabbat because I can sit my harm pot at home and be perfectly content with having a nice little meal to eat, listen to the word of Yah, where at one point in my life, I would just have to be out in the streets doing something, didn't care if I had the money or not. We just gonna finance it, baby. Telling you, man, to be able to enter into this rest and to put a standstill, man, Sabbath is such a blessing. Luke chapter 12, verse 15. Then he said to them, watch out and guard yourselves against every form of greed. For not even when one has an overflowing of abundance does his life consist of, nor is it derived from his possessions. I want you to think about some of this stuff that we finance. If you financing clothes and shoes, 5 years from now, you ain't going to have none of that stuff. You done gave it a goodwill and still owe a balance on it. This is why you ain't going to hear this, because you're not going to hear these messages in a lot of Sunday churches because, man, you have to be naive and ignorant to the fact of what the book actually says in order to give your credit card to pay what you have been taught to believe is tithes and offerings. And the people in there cheering you on and clapping. Faithful time. They don't even know your doggone credit card. 30,000 in debt because you didn't gave them. You really don't have that money. Nobody call it a line of credit. It says, we are not to love the things that are in the world. Why do we have so many believers trying to keep up with the Joneses? Man, just because you got a promotion don't mean you need a new car. Just because you got a settlement check don't mean you need to go spend more than what you actually got. We're very bad at putting away for a rainy day. And here's the bad part. Man, when you finance everything, financing phones, financing clothes, shoes, groceries, food, and you actually have something that happens, they know good and well you ain't got no savings. And here come these people again. Man, we give you another loan just to help you out. Debt consolidation. Man, you have to be careful. People think that there's some predatory debt consolidation people out there. They'll give you one big loan, but the interest you're going to pay on this is like people they don't do the calculations. They just sign up for this stuff because we've been programmed on lower payment. Long as the payment is lower, we good. This doggone 30, you up here you didn't got a debt consolidation for 30 years. It's a $200 payment. Leave us a 5-star review and tell us how, man, we got you out of debt. They didn't get you out of debt. They put you further into debt. You would have been better off sticking to paying this heavy, weighty amount that would have got you out sooner. This is what they don't tell you. Philippians chapter 4, verse 19, and Yahweh will liberally supply, fill full your every need according to his riches in glory in Hamashiach Yahshua. So I want you to understand, this is his riches. This is his riches. Yahweh's riches. And we out here financing like this is our riches. And it's not. He said he will give you your every need. The problem is we're not content with the basics. Man, how content would you be if you had to eat beans and cornbread every day for 2 weeks? How content would you be? Did Yahweh not supply your need? Did he not give you, something to put in your belly? But we say, man, we look at everybody else. We don't understand the spirit of covenant. We look at everybody else, especially on social media. Man, they ordering Grubhub. Man, they over there eating steaks and asparagus. Oh, with the butter sauce. And what do? Knowing you really don't have that money, and that them beans and cornbread is paid for, and your flesh starts repulsing against it. And what do? Download that Grubhub app. You didn't finance food. We had to be content with the basics. Man, I tell you, man, it is a sense of freedom. I don't give a damn if you wearing clothes out of the Goodwill, but you don't owe nobody nothing. You got clothes on your back, shoes on your feet, versus walking around in debt, got name brand. Hey, baby, this is Louis Vuitton. You done made Louis Vuitton and these lenders a whole lot of money. Spend a lot. I'm telling you, that lifestyle creep is something serious. Philippians chapter 4, verse 11 through 12. Not that I speak from any personal need, for I have learned to be content and self-sufficient through Hamashiach, satisfied to the point where I'm not disturbed or uneasy regardless of my circumstances. Man, we have to get there. I tell you, man, in this current state of my walk, man, I don't like to window shop. Why? Because I know window shopping, when you don't have the money, is going to lead to more debt. You in there window shopping, looking at these stuff, looking at these firearms, looking at these red bottoms, looking at these shoes, and they're going to say, hey, can I help you out? You say, man, I'm just looking. They know off the rip you ain't got the money. I'm just looking, man. I just want to take a nice little look at them. And then here, let me try them on. Would you like to try them on? Would you like to hold it? Oh, man, it's game over. They know you ain't got the money. And then what do? You say, man, I really can't afford it right now. And then they hit you with, man, we got this Academy credit card. We got this Jacques Penier credit card. You can finance these red bottoms. You can finance these shoes. Finance this blouse. Hold this firearm. Man, treat yourself. You got somebody telling you, treat yourself. That's how it happens. It says, I know how to get along and live humbly in difficult times. Right now, America's in a difficult time. And people rather get out and cry on TikTok and social media than to live humbly. For some people, in order for them to get out of some of the debt that they have got themselves in, especially if you live in the city and you don't grow your own food or raise your own food or anything like that, when it comes to the grocery store, man, you're going to have to start buying beans, rice, potatoes, and meat. All that stuff in between them snacks, you're going to have to cut out. Cut some of these expenses out. But most people are not willing to do that. And I also know how to enjoy abundance and live in prosperity. So I want you to think, man, there's highs and lows. Right now, people are in a low. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing life, whether well-fed or going hungry, whether having an abundance or being in need. People don't want to hear on the brink of financial failure and bankruptcy. People don't want to hear about fasting. Fasting to save you some money. You really ain't got the money, just fast. That a dog gonna get you closer to Yah and help you out. People don't want to hear that. Because we've been so used to doing what we want to do and rejecting the will of the Most High. Hebrews 13:5, let your character, your moral essence, your inner nature be free from the love of money, shun greed, Be financially ethical, being content with what you have, for he has said, I will never, under any circumstances, desert you, nor give you up, nor leave you without support, nor will I in any degree leave you helpless, nor will I forsake or let you down or relax my hold on you. Assuredly not. Okay, let's get into this Torah portion. Deuteronomy 15, verse 1 through 4. At the end of 7 years, you shall grant a release, remission, pardon from debt. That is the regulation for release. Every creditor shall give what he has loaned to his neighbor. He shall not require repayment from his neighbor and his brother, because Yahweh released has been proclaimed. You may require payment from a foreigner, but whatever of yours is with your brother Israelite, your hand shall release. However, there will be no poor among you, since Yahweh will most certainly bless you in the land which Yahweh has given you as an inheritance to your process. Let me tell you first and foremost, this is a disclaimer. Do not print this off or write this down and send a letter to these lenders. You know why? Because they don't give a dang. When the court, when you owe a balance and you in there talking about, man, I can't afford it, you in court talking about this, the building might say, in God we trust, but they don't, that's not Yahweh they're talking about. No, man, our courts are modeled off of Roman Greco culture. So you ain't gonna be able to send this to Visa, to MasterCard, Discovery. You ain't gonna be able to send this to them. Man, I've been paying y'all bare minimum $50 a month, and it's time this is the year of release. Man, them people gonna laugh you. They gonna laugh you in your face. This is Torah. This is biblical law, and we'll talk about that. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 5 through 7. If you will only listen to and obey the voice of Yahweh, to observe carefully all these commandments which I am commanding you today, when Yahweh blesses you as he promised you, then will you lend to many nations, but you will not borrow, and you will rule over many nations, but they will not rule over you. Think about this. How many people know about this? How many people know about this? See, man, we're taught in the mindset of being employees and having a whole bunch of debt rather than being a business or being a bank and being able to lend to these other nations. How are you going to lend to somebody when you don't have nothing? When you finance everything, how are you going to lend to somebody? Just keep going. If there is a poor man among you, one of your fellow Israelites, in any of your cities in the land that Yahweh is giving you, you shall not be heartless nor close-fist with your poor brothers. But you shall freely open your hand to him and shall generously lend to him whatever he needs. Beware that there is no wicked thought in your heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release, remission, pardon is approaching, and your eye is hostile, unsympathetic towards your poor brother, and you give him nothing, since he would not have to repay you. For he may cry out to Yahweh against you, and it will become a sin for you. So you close your fist and say, man, I know 7 years of release, this brother ain't going to be able to pay me, so I ain't going to lend him no money. Most of y'all letting you know it'd be a sin towards you. You shall freely and generously give to him, and your heart shall not be resentful when you give to him, because for this generous thing, Yahweh will bless you in all your work and all your undertakings, for the poor will never cease to be in the land. Therefore I command you, saying, you shall freely open your hand to your brother, to your needy, and to the poor in your land. Man, first thing, man, when we talk about poor, the average person that lives a life according to debt and finances their lifestyle, I want you to understand they have a hard time saying that they're poor. Why? Because it shatters your ego, it shatters your pride. Man, I have no problem saying I'm poor. No problem whatsoever saying I'm poor. No problem whatsoever. You know why? Because when you think about this, we be thinking we doing good, man. We doing good. We make a whole lot of money, but oftentimes you owe more than you actually making. So the reality is, when we look logically, when we look according to definitions, you're poor due to financial decisions. And this is when you think about the Most High Yah saying, come out from among them and be ye separate. We cannot go their way. Part of the come out is getting out of this debt. That's part of the come out. I dropped another video the other day talking about, A lot of people that want to live set apart can't do it due to indebtedness. I had to spend an hour in the garden pruning, but man, if I would have had all this stuff, and trust me, I see all this stuff, four-wheelers, nice pontoon boats, all of this stuff. But man, if you cannot buy that stuff cash outright, you don't have no business getting it. Pocketbooks, purses, all of the clothes, closet full of clothes, and all of this financed. You think about it, when the average person dies, a lot of people don't own anything. So what do? They have an estate sale to try to cancel off the debt. We don't know about operating in the form of a trust and owning things outright that just can be handed over free and clear, don't have to go to probate. We don't know anything about that. Righteousness, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 25. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahweh, and he have commanded us. When you think about it, when it comes to finances, when it comes to debt, people like to take the perspective of religion. Well, it ain't that bad if my church is doing it and they running off debt. If the government running off debt, I can run my family, manage my household off debt. You got to understand, man, these lenders, although they don't call you and tell you every day, get up and go to work, they still got strings on you because you know you owe somebody. Man, the reason your average man cannot take off time to go help another brother build his house is due to debt. The book says, build ye houses and plant ye gardens, but debt is going to eat your time up. It's going to eat your time up. It'd be a blessing to be at the point where you can say, you know what? I'm not giving these people 50 hours a week. Matter of fact, I'm going to let them know for next week, they only can put me down for 25 hours. I'm going to work 3 days, but then I'm going to go spend 3 days with my brother because he's building his house cash. Most people can't do it because of debt. Let's talk about leaving home. Man, a lot of us grow up with very religious families and people that, I don't give a dang, you could be a PhD in divinity and theology and you ain't going to never hear this message that I'm giving you. I don't give a damn if your father, your mother, your grandmama, your granddaddy, whatever, I don't give a what kind of flipping degree they got, you ain't going to hear this message. And nobody will sit you down and talk about, hey, man, going out trying to go gain your independence, going out trying to gain some privacy is going to cause you to go in debt. Okay, let's look at this. Oftentimes in high school, man, I remember in ninth grade saying, man, when I get 18, bro, I'm moving out. I'm moving out. A lot of people move out and knowing that they want to move out, man, what did you do spending your money in high school? You spending it living your best life. Oh, yeah, everybody new shoes, baby. Prom dress, prom suit, all this. Nobody flipping cares. Nobody remembers none of that. Nobody cares. But you jump off the porch, you leave home, and man, you doggone robbing Peter to pay Paul. You go out and get more apartment than you actually can afford when you probably could have saved more money staying at home, helping your parents and contributing to them. But now you done went out and got this bachelor's pad. What you get this bachelor's pad for? Because you looking for a wife? No, you went out and got this because you fornicating. So when you looking for furniture, you don't want that. You don't want just some raggedy hand-me-down stuff. You like, I can't get nothing off Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. I need to go to Haverty's. I need to go to, all these different furniture places. Expensive. You didn't finance $5,000 worth of furniture. Out the gate, you already in debt. Out the gate. Most High Yah didn't want us in that kind of servitude. He wanted us in servitude to him. I tell you, man, like for the youth watching this, man, when you are young, from a young age, save money. Save money. The sooner you learn to be content without all this stuff, the better off you will be in life, and you can avoid a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about. But nobody really, it's what happens nowadays, man. People will graduate college, got $60,000, $70,000 in student loans, and then you'll say, I graduated, got this 10-cent piece of parchment paper. let me go get a new car. You go get a new car, take out some more debt on it. And then you find out that, man, ain't nobody finna pay you for what that doggone piece of paper say. Not the kind of income that the registrar told you. But this is the conversation that people don't, like, parents don't have, and that you got to start having them. If your children see you operate in debt, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to go out and do the same thing. That's why living set apart is going to save the next generation. Man, if they can see you in the love of Yah and your doggone, you ain't got nothing new on your feet and nothing new in the driveway, but you in the love of Yah, man, come on, man. That's what the upcoming generation need to see. But they're seeing the complete opposite. How you depressed in the Most High Yah has done his part. He has supplied your every need. But yet because you don't have the things that you want, now you're depressed. And what do? You go out and Hasatan come. Oh yeah, I'll loan you some money. I'll help you out. You want these red bottoms? You want this lift kit? You want these rims? I got you. You want this sound system? We put the sound system in your car today. We put it in there. You give me 3 hours, I have it in there. You apply for you to finance. You looking at this $1,500 sound equipment. You didn't pay $4,500 after you didn't paid it off. Man, Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. No man can serve 2 masters, for either he will hate one and love the other, or else he will hold to one and despise the other. You cannot serve Yahweh and Mammon. Man, when it comes down to this Sabbath, a lot of people choose, man, I got to go make that money. I got to get to that bag. And in that moment, man, if it was lights out for you, man, you ain't got no salvation. None whatsoever. None. Not a lick of it. Financial agreements. Exodus chapter 23, verse 32 through 33. Thou shalt not make no covenant with them, nor with their gods. Man, one thing I'm telling you, man, if you look at a lot of these contracts, there's a lot of stuff in the fine print, all them pages. You be like, man, it's a lot of paperwork. Man, it is a lot of stuff in there that we have been not taught to understand. Okay. You go look at a promissory agreement or a loan application. This is what I was talking about. You look at all them in-between pages, and that print is so fine where you can't read it. They hoping you don't even try to. A lot of people don't know when you're signing a physical loan paperwork, if what we haven't been taught is to say, you know what, man, let me take this agreement and let me look over it and bring it back to you if I decide to go with this. Nope, you be in there, man. I got approved. You been there signing, and you don't even realize that there's a way out of it that you haven't been taught, but because we haven't been taught how to operate while being in exile, stay in bondage. We stay in bondage. Man, there's stuff, they're going to take your signature. I want you to understand, a contract or an agreement or a covenant has to be by way of a minimum of 2 people. When did your bank sign that agreement? They got your signature, but did somebody give you their signature? And then you'll start to realize you're not actually borrowing money or bullion. You're borrowing currency, digital currency. The bank is not giving you this money out of their accounts. They're getting that money from somebody else at a cheaper rate. And this is why they're banking on making the money off of interest in you so they can pay back that little fee. But man, if you read in some of these agreements, man, upon approval, the interest is already paid. But you got to read the fine print to be able to see this. But this is the stuff we look over. Exodus chapter 34, verse 12. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, whither thou goest, lest it be a snare in the midst of thee. Walking into a snare. Somebody call you, hey man, we just through inquiry, you filled out an application online, for a payday loan. When we would just really love to help you out. And we just want to tell you you're approved. Your credit shot to the roof, and they still give you some money. But when your credit is shot, the rate, the money they give you, we're going to give you $500 at 30% interest. You look at how they're drawing the interest, man, they calculating it monthly and yearly on you. You like, man, how did I end up owing $7,000 for $500? We don't read these agreements. We don't take these agreements before somebody that's with them say, man, that's not a good deal. That ain't no good deal at all. But you're going to be in bondage for a lot longer. You know, another thing that we're not taught is, and this is why they don't teach it so they can make money off of you. This is why. But we're not taught to, you got to think when them 30-year mortgages came, people started buying more house than they actually could afford. Nobody was actually buying an actual a super small house, making that work. It's a shelter, especially if you don't have the skills to build your own. And people wasn't getting a 15-year mortgage and then paying that off in 5. See, man, there's people out there that's coming out from among them that you don't hear about. You got people that's got 30-year mortgages, and what did they do? They canceled out all the other debt, and they started attacking that doggone debt. Right now, we're in a time in America where people cannot sell these houses because everybody's flat out broke. People can get approved for these loans, but they know they can't afford the payment. So people are stuck with these houses. And here's the thing. This is going to stop. Man, when you owe somebody money, you don't have time to be living your best life. Flip vacations, flip some designer shoes, flip all that. Flip rims on the car, flip it all. Because if you take the full 30 years to pay that doggone mortgage, you are giving these people, somebody is going to get another house in the process over the course of 30 years. You didn't pay for 2.5 houses. We don't read these contracts. We don't understand how the interest is calculated. You know, when you go to that dealership, man, and they're not asking you, they don't expect anybody to pay cash. They expect everybody to finance. It's actually rare that somebody comes in there and pays cash. But it'd be better off riding a bicycle or having a bus pass, saving up the money and going in there getting what you want outright so you don't owe nobody nothing. Repo man wouldn't have to look for you if you did that. Every day I'm at work, man, I see the tow truck coming by after lunch because that's the longest window from 1 to about 5. They can catch people and they be towing cars off. And you run out there talking about, man, don't take my car. It wasn't your car. It wasn't your car. Bank foreclosed on the house they own. They took my house. It wasn't your house. I've been paying on it. You've been paying on a piece of it. What, they gonna give you 1 bedroom off these 4? Indebtedness. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 7. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender. Indebtedness, now the condition of owing money. Okay, let's see Romans 13:8. Owe no man anything, but to love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. Man, we be in bondage. And it's self-inflicted. I tell you, man, recently got out of credit card debt from, our family business. And, man, if you're around the wrong people, man, you'll get around people and they'll be like, man, you can grow it and make even more, but it's going to require you to take out debt. And I'm like, man, I'm good on that. If I got to take out some more debt to grow, I'm good on that, man. I'm good on that because every month there is a weight, there is a burden. So we had to get to the point where we can get it coming in and we can slow down on what's going out. That's the place you want to be. Slow down on what's going out because oftentimes what we have coming in is fixed. And we'll go up and sign for these payments, $200 payment here, $300 payment there, $1,000 payment there, $1,500 payment there, $300 in the grocery store. Fine, man, by the time you add this up, you like, oh snap, boy, my head's about to pop. When it comes to people in debt, they hate to do math. Oh man, I ain't really into math like that. I know why. You be stressed. Okay, here's another one that people need to understand. Man, when in Deuteronomy it told us not to cut covenants with the inhabitants of the land, man, you got biblical law, you got common law, and you got judicial law. So you're not gonna beat judicial law with biblical law. You're not gonna go to court and then and quote doggone Deuteronomy, quote the Torah, they're going to hit you with them fines. So you got biblical, common, and judicial. Biblical law and common law are the two distinct legal systems with different origins, principles, and application. Biblical law rooted in primarily the Old Testament, the Pentateuch, the Torah, the first 5 books. Common law, developed in England from judicial decisions and customs rather than written statutes. Judicial law refers to the laws and rules created and enforced by human governments and courts through a formal process of justice administration. So you have to know this is where the Most High Yah says to obey Yah rather than man. Because you can follow all the laws of man, and as religious as some of these laws are, still not have no salvation, still not make it to the kingdom. Because you violated biblical law. Man, you got to think, man, bankruptcy, and a doggone spider was coming down the ceiling. Bankruptcy in a simple terms basically means you couldn't keep your word. On the money that you borrowed, you could not keep your word. It doesn't matter about the circumstances. You gave your word when you signed and you couldn't keep it. So I tell you, man, it's better to sell off what you have to get out of debt and live below your means or within your means for the time to be able to, get yourself out of this situation than to file bankruptcy. Because, man, acknowledging, people do this all the time. Right now, if you got friends and family that want to borrow money and they are not commandment keepers, I would advise against it, because 9 times out of the 10, they credit is shot, they owe everybody else money, and the banks won't give them no more money. So they coming to you talking about, will you loan me? Will you borrow? And when it's time to repay, they didn't forget the words that they used. They didn't forget they used the words borrow and loan. If you want to give them something out of the kindness of your heart to help them out. And say, you know what, man, you don't even owe me nothing. I'm going to give this to you because you family. I'm going to give this to you because you such and such. But I'm telling you, look at their lifestyle. If you were to ask these people, hey, man, I don't have no problem loaning you money, but let me see your credit report, they feel some kind of way because you're looking into their business. Wait a minute. Visa does. MasterCard does. Dealership does. Why I can't look into you? Why I can't test your spirit? So now is not a good time because people are financially struggling. Financially struggling. You know, those that have mastered living debt free, man, if you could establish your own corporation or LLC or lending agency to where you can lend to foreigners and strangers, man, now is a great time to do it. Now is a great time to do it. And don't give out nothing more. I wouldn't give out nothing more than a 5-year contract. Because you know what the Torah says about the law of release. You got to let them go. Got to let them go. 5-6 year contract and rack up. That's how Israel can gain some money if we put our money together. But how you going to put some money together when ain't nobody really got nothing because everybody living in debt? Not paying our debts. Psalms chapter 37 verse 21. The wicked borroweth and payeth not again, but the righteous showeth mercy and giveth. I want you to understand that the word says, live not the life of a beggar. You got some of these people that is going around begging these financial institutions to borrow money they know good and well they can't pay back, hoping to get an approval. You got people that look like me out there telling you how to rack up all this debt and not pay it back. And some of these people, if you look into them, man, they got rap sheets and records galore. All kind of foolish advice out there, but they're not going viral telling you avoid putting yourself in debt. That's what they ain't telling you. They telling you to, I saw a guy, man, he said, this is what you do. Man, if you owe, listen to this. This some straight wickedness, some straight deceit. He said, man, if you owe $30,000 in credit card debt, what you do is you set up a bank account from an external institution, put like the minimum balance in it to open it. He said, what you do is you make a payment from that account that really don't have no money, but they're going to give you a confirmation once you make the payment that made it look like you actually paid it. Proof of payment. And then when they come and say, hey, you didn't pay this, because they can't go get proof from your other financial institution, they say, man, we gotta let this go. Man, that's deceit. That is deceit. I saw a brother recommending people do this. How to get 30,000 and pay nothing. I was like, what? People don't even realize not keeping your word is a sin. I don't give a dang how religious people are. They shake your hand, man, just come on, man. You know we family, man. Just let me loan, let me borrow, and shake your hand and look you dead in your face, and then have every excuse in the book why they can't pay you back. These people ain't in the love of Yah. Sad. Interest in collateral, Exodus chapter 22, verse 25. If you lend money to any one of my people with you who is poor, you shall not act as a creditor, professional money lender to him. You shall not charge him interest. How many amongst Israel institutions do we know that, hey, we can go to and get some money because of our obedience to Yah, of who we are? This is what we actually have to establish. If you ever take your poor neighbor's robe in pledge, you must return it to him before sunset. For that is his only covering. It is his clothing for his body. In what shall he sleep? And when he cries for me for help, I will hear him, for I am compassionate and gracious. Man, these institutions, the reason they don't need collateral to loan you all this money or to loan you all this currency is because they're not loaning you bullion. They're loaning you digital. That's what's being used, digital currency. Okay, interest, noun, money paid regularly at a particular rate for the use of money lent or for delaying the repayment of a debt. Collateral. Man, how can you, when you think about something, the collateral is used in, okay, what do you have that's worth something that shows that you are worthy of this? You know what we've been taught? Man, I got this credit score. I got this 434, baby. I got this 434. This 555. Something pledged as a security for repayment of a loan to be forfeited in the event of default. So this is what this is telling you. Man, if you didn't took your brother's doggone coat or robe as collateral, man, say, man, let me hold $30. You look at that coat. Yeah, that's a nice coat you got, brother. Yeah, that's probably about $100 coat. Yeah, I'll give you $100. I'll give you $100. And then his brother can't pay you back, and you got him out here butt naked and freezing. See, a lot of these religious people that operate in the capacity of when it comes to money lending and working these banks, man, they don't want nothing to do with this Torah because it cuts out all the foolishness. Debt is a hindrance. Luke chapter 14, verse 26 through 30. If any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and his wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, his own life, also he cannot be my disciple. And whosoever does not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first, and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient funds to finish it? I want you to think about that. Highest repossession rate in history right now. So people, just because they said you approved for financing does not mean you should take out that much amount. Man, they got these cars, like I said, getting repossessed. Man, I was at work the other day and I saw about 3-4 tow trucks scanning the parking lots looking for these soldiers that have taken out too much doggone financing for vehicles that they really couldn't afford. You know, the reality is, man, when it comes to your direct financial means, you may only be able to afford outright cash a vehicle that's $4,000-$5,000. But when it comes to potential means, oftentimes we operate in the capacity of potential means, and this is how you get in the boat of you out in the parking lot trying to argue with the tow truck driver. That's based upon you had the potential to earn. But when they say, hey, man, we just sorry to let you go. It just breaks our heart to let you go. Man, they don't give a flip about your bills, your doggone mortgage, none of that. It's just business. I want you to understand, man, when you look at these corporations, these lenders, and you see their name in all caps, it's a corporation. It is a legal entity. It's based upon legalese. It has no heartbeat. It has no feelings. It has no sympathy. It comes down to dollars and cents. That's what it comes down to. You could be at the daycare picking up your baby, and they will tow your car off because you did not count the cost of the contract you were signing up for. I mean, would it be a good business model to let everybody ride around in something brand new and not pay and keep their word? But oftentimes we be talking in a form of we own stuff that we don't own. It's got to be a mindset shift to get out of these situations. People yelling, man, I can't believe the bank took my house. Wait a minute. This was never your house. I can't believe Bank of America took my car in front of the daycare center. It wasn't your car. See, man, we get in too deep. We start hooking up stuff that ain't even ours. Let me put the window tinted. You'll find some money to get the windows tinted. You'll find some money to put the rims on it, and they're gonna take their car and your rims. They're gonna take it all. Man, this is a hindrance to our calling. You gotta think, man, the Most High Yah is telling you to go some way and to live a certain way and has a calling for you to move in a certain capacity, and you can't do it to the financial burdens you've put yourself in. Lest happily, after he have laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that beholders begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Colossians chapter 3, verse 23, and whatsoever you do, do it heartily as to Yahweh and not unto men. Man, let that marinate for a second. Let that sizzle for a little bit. Let that sizzle. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10. For the love of money, that is, the greedy desire for it and the willingness to gain it unethically, is a root of all sorts of evil, and some by longing for it have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves through and through with many sorrows. Man, let me give you another one. We're going to dive into this because, co-signing. Man, you have parents getting burnt by their own children when it comes to co-signing. I'd have been burnt on this. And listen to this. This is going to give you some divine wisdom on co-signing. So you don't mess around and lose what you have worked for on account of somebody else not keeping their word. This is a lesson for you. I'm gonna be honest with you. You can YouTube videos of people talking about their testimonies of the nightmare it was co-signing for somebody. Proverbs 22, verse 26 through 27. Do not be among those who give pledge, involving themselves in other finances, or among those who become guarantors for others' debts. So you signing saying, hey, I know they good for it. Verse 27, if you have nothing with which to pay another's debt when he defaults, why should his creditors take your bed from under you? Listen to this. This is good wisdom. Somebody come, hey friend, I'm really trying to get my life together. Hey brother, come on man. Hey, I just need you to co-sign, get that 392. Man, if you co-sign with your credit worthiness, I can get it. They'll let me get it. The reality is you can't get it on your own because you can't afford it. You probably need to be looking at that Dodge Dart where you can get that and have that paid in a year. Man, I'm telling you, this will get you burnt. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 15. He who puts up security and guarantees a debt for an outsider will surely suffer for his foolishness. But he who hates declines being a guarantor is secure from its penalties. Meaning, ain't nobody coming to call you talking about, hey, your son didn't make the payment. Your daughter didn't make the payment. Man, your best friend Sheila didn't make the payment. Man, Sheila out there having hot girl summer. Your boy out there burning the tires off that 392, and you got these people calling you. Man, man, I don't think people understand how weighty this is. How weighty some of the stuff that I talked about today is. You got people that cannot come out from among them because of the contracts they didn't sign. And I'm telling you, man, one thing I know is you got people out there that hate Dave Ramsey for telling people they need to get out of debt. And you know what I realized? Right now, especially with Straightway, you got a lot of people that have come against the leader of Straightway. And man, they came to that ministry. You can look up some of their videos. They didn't have a pot to piss in. And they got the necessities met while they were there. And they got the nerve to have the expectation that they're supposed to leave rich. They choosing to leave and think they're supposed to leave rich. It's the same, man. You got as many people out there that hate Dave Ramsey for telling the truth about not. Man, look in the comments of some of these videos. The hatred comment in some of these Dave Ramsey videos. And I realized, man, if you telling the truth in an area that people really don't want to deal with, man, they're going to hate you for it. And it's the same thing Straightway has experienced. Telling the truth, and then people hate you for it. And I'm like, man, where people are saying stuff like that and are hated, and the world hates, I'm like, that's some good stuff. That's some good stuff. You know, but I wanted to drive this home because oftentimes the Most High has given us the necessities. Food, shelter. You got to understand, man, at 18 years old, you know, you're leaving shelter. Rather than going out, working, accumulating, stacking up resources, you want to have your own so bad that you jumping into these agreements where you ain't got nothing. You know, it's your mailing address, but you don't own nothing. Because you didn't went out and financed everything. Man, we have to change the way we think. We have to learn how to, I don't give a dang if you ain't bought no new shoes in a year, praise Yah. But you don't owe nobody. Man, I'm telling you, man, when you get so far in that, imagine if they started repoing clothes and shoes. You know how many people be walking around butt naked? You out in the mall shopping, buying up some old stuff, finance, somebody run up on you, jack you up, take your shoes off and run. Repo. We repoing them shoes. Oh. I'm telling you. This is crazy. America's in some crazy times, and it would behoove you to not operate like the government is operating. Which, by way, I'm talking about of being in debt. Because you ain't going to have control over your life. Your employer will become Lord over you. I want you to think about, if you're not getting yourself out of this situation, there may be another time where they come and say, hey, you know what? Everybody going to get these microchips. Everybody got to get these series of shots. There may be another time coming. And because your employer has become Lord over you due to the financial situation, you're going to bend over and take it. I know what that feels like on the first round. I know what that feels like. I said, man, I ain't living like this again. I'm good on that. I want you to be able to come in there and I want to be able to walk into the office, flip the desk and tell you, flip your job. Why? Because you cannot do that if your overhead is so high. If your overhead is more than what you can afford, man, you can't go in there and flip no desk on nobody and say, flip your job, keep your job. They going whatever they putting in you, microchips, shots, whatever they doing, you going to bend over and do it because you got a whole lot of debt. I told him, I said, man, I'm good on that. I'm good on that. I won't give nobody that kind of power over me, the Lord over me, when it's all said and done. And that's people better hope it doesn't come down to that, because if it does, man, you're going to find out what kind of faith you got. Really, if you trust in the Most High. Oftentimes we say we trust in the Most High, but when you got all this debt, you're trusting in yourself to be able to go out and work. But it's his might and mercy to allow you to wake up to be able to, pay this stuff down. That's a bad situation, due to the burdens that you've got yourself in, the contracts that you've inhibited with these inhabitants of the land, and you can't even choose this path of righteousness. That's a bad place to be. Man, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Shabbat and have a truly, blessed day of rest. Glory to the King. The King is coming. Turn from your sins. Shabbat shalom to Israel. Close to the Yah Ministries, kicking it gun, barrel straight.